Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome to The Drift. And I hate to disappoint you, but I am not your host, Gary Wellings. I'm your host, Ed Bonderenka, Ed from Ipsy. And Gary had some business to take care of today, so he asked me to take off the training wheels we were running on last week, grab both handlebars real strong, try not to ride the bike into the ditch, get everything right, and to make sure I don't go too far off track, I got Pastor Rick in here. He's decided to stay over a bit. So, right off the bat, let's start with a word from one of our advertisers, and that would be Infinity Gymnastics, where the fun never ends. Now, Infinity Gymnastics has preschool to adult, beginner to advanced, preschool classes, recreational classes, tumbling, trampoline, and competitive teams, birthday parties, and field trips. They're at 12420 Grand River in Brighton. The phone number is 810-229-4966. Once again, that's 810-229-4966. And you can look at the Current online and get that phone number, and the IP address is www.infinitygymnastics.com. And once again, you'll find that at the Current online, which you should be reading along with the Daily Drift for the news you need to know. So, Pastor Rick, welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you. And you read that like a pro. You must have gone to broadcasting school, right?
The not-so-Specs Howard, yeah. You know, I know so many people who have been to Specs Howard, too, who are not in broadcasting. Your hand was up.
I'm one of them, yes. I learned how to say W on the radio.
Oh, yeah. Not me.
Did you have Jim Bell?
Pardon me?
Did you have Jim Bell as an instructor?
No, I did not go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm saying, no, I'm one of the few who has not gone. No, actually,
most people in broadcasting hasn't gone.
Good friend of mine's daughter, she went, and she's now a minister of the gospel and not broadcasting whatsoever. And I know a number of people, and I've met them, and I went to Specs Howard. So
yeah, it's good school. It gets you comfortable with speaking in front of people or speaking when you don't have people in front of you.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, well, it must be nice to have that training. So, in fact, talking about radio, I wanted to speak a little bit about how radio is done, because this morning I was in a panic attack. What you have to do to get ready for this show is you have to find relevant audio clips, edit them, get them to Derek. Thank you, Derek. Hey, Derek, you did get them right. Good. Thank you. And, hope for callers, be read up, know what you're talking about, and be current. So that's how I spent my morning, frankly. I wanted to talk about somebody else who's a broadcaster, and that's Bill Federer. I don't know. You familiar with Bill Federer, Rick?
Name's familiar.
The American Minute?
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, Bill is going to be speaking next week in town. He's going to be spending Friday evening at Big Sky Diner on Ecorse Road in Ypsilanti. The caucus starts at 9 o'clock for the Willow Run Tea Party caucus, where he's going to be addressing them. And then actually, my wife Sherry and I get to host him overnight. And then the next morning, we're going to take him to breakfast and then take him to Grace Baptist Church in Belleville, Michigan. And he's going to be speaking on Islam and the Christian Foundation of America. So it's at Grace Baptist Church, 164 Roy Street in Belleville. It starts at 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. Then from 1 p.m. to 1:30, he's going to be on our show. We'll be talking to him. And then at 2 o'clock, I think it's Sam's Diner, and then 4 o'clock at the church again, speaking again. So you can look on the WHAM community calendar and find all this information for yourself. So that was that part of the show. Let's see, we've done the
It goes really quick.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that. We got 20 minutes still to kill just in the first half
And you already covered everything you were going to do, right? No.
Okay, so let's see. Daily Drift news you need to know. Bill Federer. Christians in the Trump administration. This is something my wife pointed out to me, and it's something I wanted to point out to you, make a selection first. I thought I had this open. It's not going to work so well, is it? Hyperlinks in Word, and that is not working. Special. Well, basically, the story is that the Trump administration is probably the most Christian-friendly administration we've had in umpty-ump years. What would be your guess, frankly?
Well, I would sit there and say the last really Christian-friendly president we had would have been actually Ronald Reagan, if you want me to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Which I think you wouldn't want me to be dishonest with you.
No.
So we'll go with Ronald Reagan. And now, that's not to say we haven't had presidents since then that been claimed to be Christian in background. I just say that they really haven't shown it. Good example, even before, if you go before Reagan, as far as a good Christian-friendly president, we've got to go back to probably Garfield.
Yeah, I could imagine that. We'd have to go back pretty far. And if you look at who some of the people that we have in this administration right now, Mike Pence, our vice president, well known as a staunch conservative and a staunch Christian.
Christian, right, very much so.
I mean, we've heard recently about how he feels about protecting his reputation via his Christian witness.
I sit there and I'll watch the Democrats whip themselves into a frenzy on social media and want to get rid of Trump. And then the statement that ends up coming up somewhere is, oh, wait, if he's gone, we'll have Pence, and Pence is a Christian,
and more the conservative,
and
than
more
Trump,
of a conservative, and so they say, well, maybe we should wait, But it's just fun because once they realize that we have a very strong Christian, what they don't understand though as Christians, we don't believe in dictating somebody else's faith. We believe
that theocracy.
Right. We believe that. We believe the theocracy that we are going to experience is only going to come after the rapture and after the second coming
Jesus
of the Lord.
Back, yes.
Right. That's when we get our theocracy. So until then, we believe that faith has to be willing and free of choice, and therefore we cannot force it on you.
This is how radio works, folks. We're going off track because right now I'm going down a rabbit trail because I'm reminded of a movie that came out in probably the late 80s, early 90s called The Handmaid's Tale, which was real popular. It was a slap at a proposed Christian theocracy that had taken over America and the abuses women suffered under that Christian theocracy. And I'm seeing ads left and right on cable now for an actual remake of a pretty poor, unwell thought out movie, piece of fiction in the first place, The Handmaid's Tale. And it's available on, I think, Hulu or something like that. And they're promoting it like crazy, as if under a Trump administration with all these crazy Christians in command that we would be forcing our religion as hypocrites, of course.
No, we just want our right to be able to practice our faith in the way, as long as our faith does not interfere with the rights of others. I mean, true rights. And in my show coming up after this, we're going to be talking about what is a right. But so it's
a little plug there, folks. That's another way.
That's another thing. Yeah, that's how I get my free advertising. Is I sit in on shows and say, "Hey, listen to Moment of Clarity between 2 and 3."
You did it again. You know that.
Right?
You knew that. You did it again.
I did.
So the next character in our list of Christians in the cabinet is actually Reince Priebus. Now, Reince, he gets a lot of heat. I mean, a lot of people feel that he's a rhino, that he's not up to snuff, but he's actually a staunch Christian conservative. I actually know a guy that works for Reince. He's a speechwriter, David Willisall, and he has good things to say about Reince and his character. So when I see Reince maligned, I keep that in mind. Politics is politics. So.
This is the problem, and I don't care if you're running for dog catcher or any other political avenue, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter which. There's going to be political stuff said about you that isn't necessarily actually factual. Yep. And you've got to start weighing this stuff out. And this is why in conservative radio we tell people to do their homework. So
then we've got Jeff Sessions, we got Dr. Ben Carson, we've got Betsy DeVos, Rex Tillerson. Now, I didn't know this about Rex Tillerson until this morning when I read this. It's been reported that he's a devout Christian, attends church weekly, and teaches a Bible study. So he's a fellow Bible study teacher. Yes. Scott Pruitt. That's what prompted me, because I was asked about Scott Pruitt at the EPA and these members of the First Baptist Church of Broken Arrow, where he is also a deacon. Mike Pompeo, head of the CIA. Can you imagine this, folks? He teaches Sunday school to fifth graders. I mean, that's a very shady, devious character right there. That's some cover, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to watch him.
And then there's Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, our ambassador
To the UN.
to the UN, yes. And she says, my faith in Christ has a profound impact on my daily life, and I look to him for guidance with every decision I make. Nothing wishy-washy there.
Not at all. So what we find is that our president's surrounding himself with good Christian people and strong Christian people.
Yes.
We see a little bit of his desire for our religious freedoms in the executive order he just signed. I only wish Congress would get on board and make it a law and not an EO, and that is eliminating the Johnson Amendment.
Yes.
And this is something that most Christians have been waiting for. The executive order, it's a nice show. It's a nice, I don't know, show of effect, but it really doesn't have any meat in it, because it's just asking the IRS to back off.
Yeah.
We need Congress. You know, the First Amendment says that the law shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise. I mean, it says make no law in establishing a church or prohibiting the free exercise, and yet Johnson's amendment did exactly that, and it prevented us as pastors to speak from the pulpit if we want to speak out against tyranny at a time of election, because the government is we the people, and that includes we the people in the churches.
Yeah.
And our job is to fight tyranny from that pulpit in all of
The Black
its
Robe
forms.
Brigade, yes.
Yeah, that's
how we got
I'm a
started.
big member of it.
There we go.
We must fight tyranny from all points. And if the government's going to sit there and stifle what I preach from my pulpit, isn't that prohibiting me free exercise of my religion?
Yep, exactly. That's like I heard somebody say the other day. Actually, I was on Theron's show, and they were talking about, we don't want the flag at political events. We don't want the flag there because we don't. At sporting events, because we don't want to make a political statement. And I called in and I told Theron, says, yeah, but isn't taking the flag away a political statement? It's the same thing with our faith. You know, they don't want our faith on a park bench, but they want to put a sticker on there, this park bench brought to you by Atheists of America, without the Christian symbolism attached.
Right.
I mean, it's one or the other. It's a battle.
We're an American nation. The flag is the American flag. If you're going to sit there and you're going to play the national anthem, you're going to fly the flag.
That's next to go, those national anthems.
Well, you know,
Take a knee.
they're trying. There's so much that they're trying to kick out that is in the American government. For example, the American flag, the national anthem. How about the Pledge of Allegiance? I mean, that's under attack. Our motto: "In God We Trust."
Yep.
Anything that has to do with faith, or anything that has to do with the founding of this nation, they want to rewrite history. We were formed as a Christian nation, as you know, and now they need to rewrite all of that.
Yeah.
And make all the founders evil, which means we got to get rid of the flag. We got to get rid of anything that refers to God, because that was the religion of our founders, but not really. You know, they'll double argue that.
Theists, right.
They'll double argue that. In one breath is, well, that was the religion of the founders, which were a bunch of slave owners, and therefore we have to get rid of it. It's revisionist history and revisionist government.
By the way, I want to shift gears here. Okay.
Again? We can do that.
I want to mention that Representative Tim Walberg is going to be making his monthly visit to the show, and he's going to be on in the second half hour of the show. And if there's anybody that would like to ask a question of Representative Walberg concerning the budget, health care, whatever's on your mind, I'd appreciate it if you would call in and give that question to Derek, because we don't have a lot of time right now. Sorry, Derek. We don't have a lot of time right now to take calls, and I don't want to take calls particularly during Representative Walberg's visit. But I remember last year when Mike from Ann Arbor and I sat in with Gary, and Tim was on the phone. I was really glad I got some opportunities to ask some direct questions to him. Well, this is your opportunity to do the same thing.